Hey everyone, welcome to our live stream where we're going to be talking about the latest release for Symbaroum that is available for pre-order right now. If you're interested in it, I'm going to tell you, go check out Symbaroum.com. There's a link in the description of the video. Joining me today is Anna Westerling from Free League, the events coordinator and manager and all-around awesome person. And of course, one of the founders, creators of Symbaroum, the one and only Mattias Johnsson Haake. Mattias,
hello.
Thank you so much for joining us today and being a part of this stream and talking about the latest release for Symbaroum.
I don't even have my Free League t-shirt today. I have the Symbaroum one.
Just Symbaroum.
Because today is all about Symba, right?
Absolutely. Now, this is a project that you were pretty much, you're the lead writer. You wrote this one, correct? Mm-hmm. Nice. We're excited. So let's talk a little bit about the projects that are available for pre-order, and then we'll hop right to it. We'll ask you some questions. We'll take some questions from the audience. So if any of the viewers have any questions, let us know in the chat. We'll try to add them in as we go along. Let's just get right to it. Symbaroum. Let's see. I knew I was going to mispronounce this.
Alberetor? Do you want my help?
Yes, please do.
It's Alberetor.
Alberetor. The Haunted Waste is available. It is... let's see here. It is... How many pages? It's 189 pages? Forget to have
We're looking at... I'm hoping to make it in 176. It will be as the same size as Thistlehold, Wrath of the Warden, and Indaros, the Darkest Star. But there are so many cool maps and so many cool handouts in this one, so I don't know if we may be forced to make it a little bit bigger.
Excellent. This adventure is where the player characters visit the darkened, twisted realm of the Titans for their most vital and perilous mission to date. Maps and descriptions of Alberetor and Laestra in European. All right. Including a dozen specific persons, locations, and events that the player characters may encounter. Guidelines for traveling through the Lost South along with tables that can be used to create or randomly design single challenges as well as smaller adventure landscapes. Also, it also includes a chapter on the Ambrian Civil War that accounts for its developments and important turning points, and that presents hooks for adventures in the battle-scarred land. There are new tables and curiosities, mystical treasures and artifacts, and a customized list of mishaps, which can affect uninformed and ill-prepared adventurers. So there's a lot of content in this book, Mattias. You've been quite busy for a while, I guess, on this one.
Yeah, I've been toiling away for a while.
How long?
I mean, this is not the only thing I'm doing.
Right.
The writing, because it's a lot of project management, and as you know, we released the Symbaroum starter set, and I was also the project lead for the Lost Cyclade for Coriolis, and I've been involved in some other projects as well. So I have been able to write quite focused during, say, January and February at least.
Wow.
But I mean the process of designing this episode specifically has been going on for quite some time. Making notes and since this is the 5th installment of a series of adventure campaign and adventure modules, I guess you can say that the start of the design was many years ago. We have this, you can find it on one thing I should mention before going further. You showed the address symbaroum.com.
Yes.
This is a little bit embarrassing, perhaps. I don't know, because I'm not very tech savvy. But you have to remember the PS when you type in that address, or else you will come somewhere else. Anyway,
you shouldn't present it that you're not tech savvy. You should present it that this is another like task or mission. The ones who manage this are worthy.
Yeah, right.
Very, but also tech savvy. Yeah.
But you I mean, you are the people person here. I'm just a writer. So anyway, on that page you will find a link to a campaign or Chronicle overview that we put together. Like, we have updated it a couple of times, but the base of it was designed 5 years ago, and it still remains the same. And it details the story and structure of not only the story arc at large, but also of each episode. So you can find out already now, if you're a game master, what will happen in the last episode, which hopefully will release next year, and then this massively grand campaign will be at reach its fulfillment.
Because how long have you worked with this? Like the 6 books and this. Yeah, when did Symbaroum came into your life?
We released the Swedish version in 2014, and I think the English version reached retailers in America and around the globe in early 2016. But in the first couple of years of the English distribution, we were like working to catch up with the Swedish releases. So we had already released some titles in Swedish before we started on our international endeavor.
So it's been very intense Symbaroum years here. But why did you want to make it from the beginning? What was the kind of special thing you were like, yes, we want to make this because, or yeah?
Wow. Interesting question. Very, very deep psychological question.
Or maybe you were like, we want to make this great fantasy epic. What was the like? Yeah.
You mean the not Symbaroum in general, but more the campaign in particular?
Yeah, Symbaroum in general. Like, why did this? What was the thing you maybe lacked from other role playing game that you were like, yeah, this is the cool thing with this. I want to make darker or more nitty-gritty fantasy, or I want to make something.
I mean, looking at it like that, I'm not the person to judge if Symbaroum has ever existed before, or that combination of influences and tones and styles and so on. But for us, it wasn't an analysis of what was lacking. It was we simply raised the question, what kind of game? And this is what we've done already since we started doing this on hobby basis in Swedish only, like in the early years of the millennium. We make games mainly for ourselves.
That's awesome.
We make the games we want to play, that we want to read, that we want to flip through, and we are super lucky and super happy that people seem to share our tastes to quite some extent, at least. So it may be a very boring answer, because there wasn't like we never quite on the contrary. One of the reasons why we never did a fantasy role-playing game during that first decade was more or less an analysis of the market, where we felt that, okay, we want to do a fantasy game, but who will ever even look at it with all the fantastic games out there? You have Dungeons and Dragons and Warhammer, and you have in that time we had Ars Magica, and there were so many cool fantasy games that it was more or less, but I think this was 2012 when we decided to, we have to make a new game. We can't live with our lives without making games. And we made the same analysis then, but decided to ignore it. I mean, if we want to do a fantasy game, try to stop us.
And I'm glad you also took the like small scope. You were like, yes, we're going to do 6 Chronicles and plan them over time. Did you ever think you would be here, or would you be like, yeah, no, maybe we do 3 and then like, meh. Or was like, yes, we're going to do.
Yeah, it's crazy. Looking at it now in the rear view mirror, it feels like were we thinking? No, it's just been the way we make games. We design the games as a whole based on some kind of moving elements, story elements that we want the game to help propel or help tell or help narrate or help make more exciting. So the rules and the story go hand in hand, and the Chronicle with it. So when we designed the core book of Symbaroum, we did so very much with this meta plot or high narrative in mind. So I mean, you're reading. You will soon be able to read book 5 in this series, and you can trace quite a lot of the comings and goings and the characters and such in that book back to the core book, and all the way through. Because already when we wrote the core book, we knew about what would happen when we reached the end of the big. I mean, we have released quite a lot of smaller adventures as well that doesn't necessarily tie into the grand campaign. They can, of course, be made to fit in there. You can play like the adventure packs. We will be talking about them a little later, I think. You can play them while you wait for the next episode of the grand campaign to come with the same characters. But I mean, for me, and I cannot say this for Mattias and Martin, who are my co-designers in this phenomenon called Symbaroum. But for me, the Throne of Thorns is like, if Symbaroum has a flagship, that's it. Yeah, and so I'm super excited every time I get to sit down to work on the next episode, and I'm super excited when it's finally closing in on reaching the players.
Do you have a question?
Thane has a question. It says, at the beginning there were 8 parts of the campaign. Now that there are 6, do we miss anything which was planned? We've got someone that's a really big fan of. Yeah,
I have to correct the person posing the question.
All right.
I mean, if you count the Copper Crown as part of,
okay,
because it ties in quite neatly. It was a mini campaign that is more or less a tutorial. Set of 3 tutorial scenarios that eases you into the system and the setting. So that might have been, but we had, for the grand campaign, there were 7 parts planned, and no, it's you will not miss anything. It is more a question of, you know, when you start. When you're closing into the later turning points of the story, it becomes more clear how the story must be told. I think that's mostly what happened, and why we are down now to 6 parts, a double trilogy, or what do you call it? Trilogy. Trilogy, I think you
trilogy.
Say. Yeah, trilogy. Yeah,
yep, sorry.
A double trilogy. In Swedish, we say trilogi when we say it wrong, which we often do. Anyway,
I don't know what
I don't, so I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know anything about saying anything wrong. Yeah. What's that?
Look at that. I look so red on my... If I turn that off, maybe. Even worse.
Anyway. Let's... Haunted Waste.
Let's... Formlex asks, I understand that in the Haunted Waste there will be information about Alberetor and Lysandra. Will you release books about the rest of the world later?
That's always been the plan. We have no definite release plan for what will happen once the next... Oh, maybe I can do a little reveal.
Oh, a little exclusive for the freely used. So I'm going to tell folks that if you like exclusive content, like in reveals, make sure to subscribe and like below down. If you want more of that, let us know by liking and subscribing.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure that this is news in both Swedish and English, but the 6th and final episode now has a name.
Oh,
and this is, I mean, no offense, guys, I know that you are not the most scholarly Symbaroum lore guys. But those who do know, will be happy to know. Excuse me.
You mean us two, not the fans who are looking, because
no, I mean you two. Yeah. You who are watching, the next and final episode will be called Davokar Awakens.
Ooh.
Yeah, and you have seen Davokar, Doug.
I know absolutely. Yeah,
and you know about Davokar.
Oh yeah.
So before we get to, can you remind me of the question again, because this had some bearing on that.
Let's see here. Where is it? It just asks, will you release books about the rest of the world later?
Yeah. Once we have reached the point where, at least allegedly, Davokar will awaken, much of the future of the development of the setting will be clear. And in my mind, at least, what we are looking at for the future is to focus, maybe not to another 6-part adventure chronicle, at least not right away, but rather focus in on several areas in the setting. And I think we spoke about this before, Doug. There are also a very interesting possibility to explore different timelines in the setting of Symbaroum.
Right.
Because there have been some very defining periods in the development of that world, just like there have been in our world. So, I mean, there are several ways to keep exploring this setting and building upon it. One of my favorite one of the places I'm longing to go, I should say, in the Symbaroum setting is the city-states that borders the wild lands of the West, and where they are at this, I don't know, at least in Umbria, those who claim to know, they say that the city-states are in a constant eternal war with the elves, who try to keep them from, it sounds as they are describing it in Umbria, it sounds like it's what's happening with Umbria versus Davokar, but times 20 or 40 or 50 or 1,000. So I would be very interested in going there and look what's actually happening, discovering what is going on in the West.
Empty Child has a great question. Do you intend to use the mechanics for another setting, or even publish it as a standalone mechanic system, kind of like an OGL? Like, have you given that any thought for the rule set for Symbaroum?
We haven't talked about it per se. I mean, we have an OGL for the year 0, I believe.
Yep.
And this is also an original rule set. So, I mean, there's nothing that really would stop us from doing that. But it's right now the focus is on producing more original material. But I mean, it's a very good question, and it's not something we are totally ignorant about, that possibility.
Let's before we get into more questions, let's talk about the other product that there's a pre-order for, not just because I think it's also a product that a lot of folks were very excited to see revealed. I know I was. So let's actually bring this up right here, and that is, of course, the Adventure Collection. This is pretty much, it takes 3 books and combines them all into one at this point.
Yeah.
You get the Copper Crown, the Adventure Pack 2, and an Adventure Pack 3, and yeah, a lot of folks have been waiting for the Copper Crown to come back into print because that's been a very rare find. I know I had a hard time hunting down my copy, so it'll be nice to have it in a collected edition. And then this is a 226-page book. It has 6 full-length adventures, the settlements of Castor, Ravena, and Prios Pass, 9 mystical artifacts, and a dozen color maps to explore, an introduction to the Pantheon of the Young Gods, and yeah, it retails for about, looks like about $36, $37, based on the conversion rate that's going on right now. I will let folks know that if you are interested in picking up both of those products, there's actually a really great bundle. Let me see if I can bring it up on screen. That it will save you some money, and you also get a really cool. You get the map pack.
Someone asked what adventures are in the Adventure Collection. We mentioned one. Could you which are they? We have a question here in the.
Okay. So it's this collection collects Adventure Pack 2 and 3, and also the campaign I mentioned earlier, which is called the Copper Crown, which builds on the core book adventure. So you have the individual adventures are called, you have it there, it's Mark of the Beast, it's Tomb of Dying Dreams, it is Fever of the Hunt, it is The Bell Tolls for Castor, it is okay, this I have written this one, so I should know what it's called. The final one is the final one is called What's Bred in the Bone, and the one before that is called The Howling of Damned Gods.
Nice.
And what this is a collection of basically Kickstarter stretch goals.
Right.
So all of these 6 adventures were unlocked as stretch goals during previous Kickstarters, starting with Thistlehold Wrath of the Warden back in 2016, I think, and then Karvosti the year thereafter, and Indaros finally. And so I mean, one of the reasons why the price point is lower for this 226-pager versus the Haunted Waste is that there aren't as much art in these. There is art, there is original art in them, but it's not as heavily illustrated. Most people by now, the core fans, have already seen these, and I mean, are still very beautiful maps, and there are original artwork of both Martin Grip and Gustav Ekelund, and of course the cover is Martin, and so but it's not as heavy in art as the main product line, which is the Throne of Thorns and the core books.
Let's I totally forgot to bring up the fact that there's some amazing art in the Haunted Waste book. Let's just I'm gonna put some up on the screen there. These are all done by Martin, I'm assuming.
Nope.
No, they're not. Okay.
You see how good Gustav has become?
It's amazing. Like, there's some great. Yeah. Let's
So
just.
who has done this?
I love like this.
It's
This
not
right here.
Martin.
This piece of art right here is just so spooky and so. I love it so much. Like, as soon as I saw that, I was like, "Oh my god, I want that on my wall because it looks so awesome." Yeah, so good. So who are the artists on this? You want to explain that?
Gustav Eklund. Yeah, he's been with us for a long time, both on Symbaroum and on Coriolis, and he's also working on some of our other. I think he has done work for Tales from the Loop, and yeah, he's working on some of our projects right now. So he was the main artist in The Lost Cyclade for Coriolis. He and Martin together made the art for the Game Master's Guide and also for Mother of Darkness. So yeah, and it's really interesting to see, because I see that comment a lot when me or someone else at the Free League displays a picture, and immediately the comments, people assume it's Martin.
Yeah.
So they say, "Oh, Martin is so good." and sometimes, if it's one-way communication, I can't answer. Of course, I'm just smiling to myself and say, "Yeah, Gustav, do you hear? Do you hear what they're saying?"
Martin can just disappear into like a hole, and then we just be.
No, I mean Martin is one of the co-founders and co-creators of Symbaroum. So he won't go anywhere. I can tell you that.
That's good.
But it's yeah. I just have to praise both of them, because writing massive adventure campaign and then see it come alive through they are not using pencils, but painting pads or whatever they call it.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy.
The Dark Orb has a question that says, "Am I right in thinking that one of the great reasons to get the Adventure Collection is the great new stat blocks for NPCs?" That's something that we kind of incorporated in the new the new starter set that was out.
Yeah.
So have you updated?
I did.
Awesome.
Yeah. And I actually mean that I did.
Wow. Okay.
Because I'm also doing most of the layout for the Symbaroum game line nowadays. If I don't have time, I don't do it. But it's a very you can't be. Yeah, but that's also creative stuff. I was about to say you can't be creative all the time, but it's a nice break from writing or concept development or whatever to do some layout work now and then. So I was actually part of the Monster Codex. I layouted together with Johan Noor. And after that, it's been more of that. What?
No. Continue. I'm trying to find a way to sneak in a question, but you're the.
Yeah, please do. I just babble. It's late at night, and I'm super tired. So.
But yeah, I'm going to talk about the writing, because you said before that this is some of the best things you have written. Like, what's your inspiration? How do you write? I'm thinking there's probably people out there who want to be like, yeah, we want to write SSG good, or I want to write role-playing games, or like this you said you wrote almost on 2 months. Is it like you sit on the computer and like, or do you go long walks in the dark Swedish forest, like, or I don't know?
Mattias, I don't know if you can see the comment that I put on the screen earlier. That
I'm,
says,
I'm trying not to look at it. So.
I mean, is your head getting any bigger? I mean, as we talk, because J.R.R. Tolkien, that's some pretty high praise right there.
No, it's thank you very much. We all do our best here. That's all I can say about that.
You do a great job.
Sit down and write what's happening, because I'm thinking even if you're like good, you need to sit down in front of that empty page. And I think there's quite a lot of people here who probably write role-playing scenarios and maybe write the scenarios to Symbaroum. Like, what's a good pointer to think about if you want to create? We have some GMs here.
A very difficult question, because I've been writing for a long time, different kinds of stuff. So maybe the first and best question for everyone is if you want to write, do just that. Get those 10,000 hours or whatever you need to become proficient. But writing is one thing. Story design is something completely different. And story design in interactive mediums, such as role-playing games, is again very much different from writing a novel or a movie script or something that is, even if it skips in time, like Memento or some other classic movie, the story is still linear. You're telling it one way. In a role-playing game, when you write a story, an adventure story, you can write them very linear as well. But what's the fun in that? So ideally, you need to create a story concept that is more or less a toolbox or something that enables the gaming group to actually tell the story. So it's more about building a foundation for storytelling than actual storytelling. So that's one thing. The other thing is that the writing itself, that's kind of a handicraft. It's a craft. And you can get really, really good at that, I imagine, in various different kinds of ways. One of my favorite persons in the nerd genre or entertainment nerdy kind of Neil Gaiman. Anyway, he once said in one of the most fantastic performances or talks I've seen. It was not a TED talk, but he was invited to some kind of American art college, and he held this lecture. And he said one of his tips was always walk towards the mountain. So if you have a goal, if you want to write, then make sure that when faced with the fork in the road, always choose the path that takes you towards that mountain. And avoid treading the path that leads you away. I mean, because you won't get there immediately. It will take time. So was that good advice, maybe?
No,
I don't know. That was something along the lines of what you were looking for, maybe. We have some more concrete or specific tips in the Game Master's Guide, actually.
It's a really great book. It's a great resource just in general for running RPGs.
Yeah, that was kind of our intent when we started out. The first section of the book is based on a series of lectures that me and Mattias have held over the years.
Nice.
On a couple of occasions, not very often, but talking a little bit on how you can use conflicts as building blocks when creating settings instead of objects or subjects. You use relations to get the to get energy in the setting, and then you just have to drop the PCs down into that setting, and stuff will happen. And you will get stories more or less without breaking a sweat. So the Game Master's Guide may be an interesting read if you are curious about how we think.
Like I said, I think it's just a great resource in general. It's one of my favorite books of the whole line. Let's talk a little bit about the reason why it's this product. We decided not to go to Kickstarter with this. This is the first. Is this the first Symbaroum product that, besides the starter, that's just available for pre-order, that we didn't go to Kickstarter with?
The first part of the Chronicle.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
But we didn't have a Kickstarter for the starter set, for instance. But anyway, no, the reason is quite simply we really needed Kickstarter when building, because it's one thing, I'm guessing, to work with an established IP.
Right.
It's quite another thing to build an IP. And to do that, you need all the help you can get. And I mean, the people who have backed us on Kickstarter, and first on Indiegogo and then on Kickstarter over the years, they have as much part in what's happening now with Symbaroum as in some ways as much as I have, because without them, I would probably still be stuck on my day job. But now we are at the point where the Symbaroum community is so strong, and every time running a Kickstarter is, I mean, it's a blast. It's hard to describe for those who haven't experienced the rush of having a successful Kickstarter and having all these people rooting for the project and for you and for each other. And so I will miss that. But on the other hand, it's extremely hard work, especially living in Sweden with many of the backers on the other side of the Atlantic, or in Australia, and in Japan, and totally different time zones. So at least in the first 2 or 3 Kickstarters, I was more or less awake around the clock to answer questions and just see what was happening. And every time a backer dropped his or her pledge, it was like I died a little bit inside. It was but it's very much work. And today, when we have this fantastic community and also the extended reach that we now have after the merger with Free League, we rather focus as much of our energy as possible into the creative stuff.
Sure.
So but I mean, if it weren't for the fantastic community that we do have, we couldn't have done this. Then we would have needed Kickstarter in order to fund the products that we are working on. So, but it's a testament to the fans of Symbaroum.
Absolutely. So, can we kind of? Do you have an estimated date as to when this is going to be delivered after it's pre-ordered? I know.
Yeah.
In the PDFs, and someone had a question about the PDFs. I'll ask that as well after. But do you know how far along is this project as far as completion and being ready for print and all that?
Things can and will happen, especially in these times. And I can tell you that Brexit came with a few surprises for us who are working with Britain in distributing our books and so on. So, I mean, we are very hesitant to promise anything nowadays, because the more people are playing our games, the more people get disappointed, and it's we don't want to disappoint anyone. I can tell you all that I got a very positive piece of response from the translator of the Haunted Waste today.
Nice.
And before the weekend is over, he will be done with, I would say, 3/4 of the book.
Okay.
And that is, don't tell him, but it's a little bit ahead of what I had hoped.
Nice.
So that's a good thing. So, but what happens after that? I mean, the text is obviously finished it's in the proofreading phase, so there will be some tweaks in the Swedish version, and those will carry over into the English version when I get the translated files, and then they are sent over to Canada to our amazing editor, Brandon Bowling, who has been with us since I don't know when. It's been some years now, 3 years maybe. He's also working on several of our other. If you're looking now, Brandon, hi.
Brandon, thank you for all your work.
I hope he's not looking, because I sent him the first section of Haunted Waste this morning. So, and then there is the art department that needs to be done with their stuff, and then things can happen in. Okay, so I will give you a date. And it will be very approximate.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
We have said that, and I'm fairly confident that we will be able to deliver the beta PDF by the end of May.
By the end of May, okay.
Meaning that we should be able to start shipping during the summer.
All right.
Were I insanely brave, I would say late June. And I'm going to be honest and say that I hope it will be late last week, maybe of June or something like that. But it's too early to say right now. What I can promise is that we will use Facebook and newsletters and whatever other means possible to keep you informed of the progress. And we will not sit on the books longer than we have to, of course. But we never release anything until we feel very pleased with the result.
So sometimes before autumn, I'm saying like vague, but still promising.
Thank you, Anna.
Yeah. Then we like have a span.
She's the responsible free leader at this sit down. Yeah, so sometime maybe before the end of the decade. you will most likely almost assuredly have the books.
You can hear all the Symbaroum fans that are watching go, oh.
No, summer.
Yeah. So here's my question for you, because I'm kind of curious. Since we've set this up as a pre-order instead of a Kickstarter, have you seen any? Is it about on par with the response as far as folks that are pre-ordering versus backing a crowdfunding campaign?
I must say that it's been a little bit more than a full day
right
now since we launched a pre-order. And I have spent, apart from when I slept, of course, which I did a couple of hours, I've spent that full day with a smile on my face, because the response has been even nicer than I hoped in terms of people actually, because I mean, and I call them backers still, even if they are pre-ordering to me. It's that same crowd, and they have the same function. I mean, the ones pre-ordering now will definitely actually help us with, printing and distribution and all those things that the Kickstarter normally help us with. So it's not that we don't need help and support. We definitely do, but It's just that with the strong community that we have now running Symbaroum and also Coriolis, we didn't do a Kickstarter for the Lost Clade, for instance.
Right.
We don't have to go to Kickstarter to find that help and support, which makes us humbled and super, super happy.
Absolutely. Let's see if anybody has. Go ahead, Anna. Do you have any more questions?
Yeah. Like, what's the difference with this book from the 4 previous one? I heard something before that it's darker or something. What's the thing with this 5th book that makes
maybe those who are already into the campaign will be disappointed at me now, but I can tell you what I said to Martin. And he is fully aware of how the story is developing and what's happening. But just to emphasize what kind of look I wanted for the cover, or I mean, it's always he who decides, but I get a say in it at least. I told him that Alberetor, the Haunted Waste, is where the player goes to the Symbaroum version of Mordor.
Okay.
So that's one way to describe it. It will be, it is very much a continuation of the previous installments or episodes in the saga. But what differs is that we will now leave the heartland of Umbria and even the mighty forest of Davokar and head south to the dead homeland of the people of Queen Corinthia. And I wouldn't be surprised if the adventure prompted a detour into the really corrupted lands of the Dark Lords that were Corinthia's armies defeated, but who allegedly, at least, destroyed the country of Alberetor with their death magic. And so it's not the nicest places to go on holiday, but I can almost promise that you will enjoy adventuring down there for as long as your particular adventures continues. They can come to a very abrupt end, I can tell you.
Yeah, someone said that they didn't want to die in the chat, and I'm like,
No, the players should be very safe. I can't answer. I hope we will get to experience some fright, and even horror maybe, and at least a lot of anxiety at the gaming table, because it's quite intense settings that we will. What I also can say that we always tend to vary the structure of the adventures or the gameplay style of the adventures, because some people like freeform, some people like very linear story paths, and we hope that when we are done with this campaign, every gaming group will find a favorite part. We did this with earlier campaigns as well, trying not to use the same formula each time. And this one is a little bit more linear when it comes to the bigger story arc, but it is made up of a number of, I shouldn't say a series of, because you can visit them in which order you like, but a series of very open adventure landscapes that are also challenging in different ways. So you have a lot of action at some places, you have a lot of problem solving in other places, you have social challenges in other places. At the same time, because how we like to design these adventures, at least, the player characters have very large freedom in deciding how to tackle the problems they are facing in the various settings. So, and I mean, at the end, it's not us who dictates the story. We only enable it. Sure. I don't know if that's a good word to use, but yeah.
No, but I get it. I love that people in the chat are telling us different way they died. They're like, yes.
yeah, that can happen in Symbaroum. Yeah.
You're like, oops, yes. Doug, yes.
Yeah, no. Thane asked. I can't find. I have to scroll up to the comments. But Thane wanted to know, since there are novels in Swedish for Symbaroum, are we going to get any English novels? Because everybody keeps praising you for your writing and for this world that you've built, Mattias. Is that being considered at all for folks that are fans of this IP?
We have talked about it, and it's, I don't know why. I am one of the reasons why it hasn't happened yet, because novels are, as I said earlier, a different kind of storytelling, and when it comes to novels, I am a little bit more picky with. I would like to translate them myself and then work together with a very good editor, and it would be a massive machinery to start that that kind of project. So I mean, never say never, but at the moment we have no such plans. I mean, I've had a couple of people reaching out to me and saying that they have actually read the novels using various translator tools online.
Oh, okay.
So, interesting. Or a couple of guys also claiming they have started learning Swedish in order to read the novels. They aren't that good. The ones that are already written, they are more or less youth novels.
Oh, okay, interesting.
I wrote them because I wanted to explore the setting from within. So I wrote them in a kind of Dragonlance kind of style, with an adventuring party and it's not at all that high, if you will, political or moral level of story that you find in the campaign. But I mean, people are having fun reading the campaign, and then they use it to tell their own stories. I think that's better.
Sure.
At least in some ways.
Empty Child asks, what characters do the players have in Mattias's table or in the playtest?
I don't run Symbaroum at the moment.
Really?
Mattias Lilja, my colleague, does.
Okay.
No, I don't have any friends. No.
I don't think that's the truth.
No, but I don't have time and energy to do that too. So I rely on other people to help me playtest and sanity check the stories. And again, I mean, no matter how much you playtest the role-playing games adventure, at the end, what happens at the table, especially in a game like Symbaroum, where there aren't these strict rules and regulations about character levels or character developments, or the characters aren't necessarily even very balanced in relation to each other. So playtesting in a mechanical sense is not that necessary in a game like Symbaroum, because what happens story-wise must very much be decided at the table by the game master and players together.
Excellent.
So, but I would love. I mean, I so long to play this or GM this, and I will, but I have to retire first, I think.
Yeah. It's funny. We always talk about playing games and everything, but one thing folks have to, so you're all creating and writing and doing all of this other stuff. It's hard to, it's like being a store owner, like a game store owner, which I have friends that are game store owners. They're like, people think all we do is sit around and play games all day. It's not the truth. We're actually working like really hard trying to get, product out, and like we don't hardly have any time to play games, but we love this industry and we want to support it. And so I can totally relate to that.
Yeah, but in the end, when you work with games all day long, then you sit down to play a game, you immediately start working. Especially if, like me, I'm an editor and a project manager, project lead. So the minute I get a manuscript or even a finished game in my hands, I start working it. This should have been done this way. The structure of this chapter is all wrong, or whatever. So that can be quite exhausting. When I play games, which I obviously do, it's mostly board games nowadays. Sure. And then we get together a couple of times a year to play role-playing games. Me and my friends.
It looks like there are folks that are volunteering to have you play with them, Mattias, in the chat there.
It's like you made like
quite a few.
Ad. You're like, yay! but
it would be super fun, but at the end of the day, I when it comes to Symbaroum, I want to be the game master, and that takes too much at the moment.
Right.
When it comes to energy and oi.
Yes.
Can you see that question? Thane's coming up with some good IP questions, like to just totally build out this Symbaroum brand. So Thane, thanks so much for the novel and for the board game question, because I think that would be pretty cool. What do you think, Mattias?
I think that would be very, very cool.
That would be very cool.
No more comments on that. No, I can honestly say that we have discussions regarding all our IPs and licenses when it comes to other forms of it. Not necessarily board games. It may be card games or whatever, miniature games or whatnot. We have such discussions often because we love those kinds of games. But at the moment, we have nothing in the pipe for Symbaroum.
Yeah.
So, but it's a very good idea, and we are definitely looking into it. So,
that would be great.
I would also love to see Symbaroum minis, for instance.
I was just gonna say that. Could you imagine some of those minis? They would be incredible.
The Colossi.
Oh, that would be.
Yeah.
What is
there's coming a lot of
lot of folks that are Mutant Year Zero, the card game.
Why not?
Yeah.
Or does it mean that there has been one? No, I don't know.
I don't know.
Yes. Sorry. That's the board game. I love that idea too.
Yeah, we are launching the Tales from the Loop board game later this year.
It is, yep. So actually, I think it's in production right now.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And I did it at the office at some point, and I saw the little minute, and they looked very good. I was like, I felt like I touched the treasure. I was like in there, like, yes, I can touch this. It looks very nice.
Yeah. And Andric Mini. Yeah. I don't know. We shouldn't go into the story about the Andric, I think. We can leave that for now. Look at the back of the Monster Codex if you want to know what an Andric is.
Absolutely. Which is again another really great, a great resource. I love that book. So the Monster Codex is one of my favorite. Again, it's one of my favorite books. It's just such a great. I don't know just a source book. It's just amazing.
Yeah, it was. The story behind that is cool. One of the best books that I've ever been part of designing I played a relatively small part on that one because I was doing other stuff. It was way back in 2002, maybe. We did the zoology of the zones, bestiary for mutant heirs of doom, which is like the predecessor to Year Zero. And when we started discussing making, I sincerely, to me, that book is like the best thing that me and my friends have done ever. So when we started discussing a Symbaroum monster codex, it was like angst, because how would we be able to lift it to that level of the zoology of the zones? So we had very high ambitions, and I must say that thanks to Martin and thanks to Johan Noor, who helped us with I think he had left the company by then, but he was so happy to be working with the layout and graphic design of the Monster Codex. So he was with me on that one. And then me and Mattias Lilja did the writing, and it came together in a... Yeah, I'm really proud of it. Super proud of it.
I have folks that have picked up copies of it. They never even played Symbaroum, at all, and they just pick up the Monster Codex just because it gives them inspiration for things. Which is that when you can create a book that helps, create inspiration for other games and other just ideas, like that's a pretty special thing.
It doesn't make me sad to hear. No.
No.
Mission accomplished.
Everyone is voting up Symbaroum on HBO. They want a Symbaroum series on HBO. So, Mattias, can you contact the folks at HBO?
I cannot confirm and cannot deny. No, honestly, I've it's been mentioned before, and I get two kinds of chills when people start talking about that. The good kind, because it would be so extremely cool, and then the bad kind that says that it will probably become really, really cheesy and not at all like how I envision it. Sure. Would be these cast of 20-something beautiful actors strutting around in the woods, picking mushrooms and eating them and going, bananas. Anyway, no, I hear what you're saying, and it's one of those things that, it would be super cool, of course.
It would be. If you could do anything with it, I think I might have asked you this before, but I can't remember. If you could do anything with the Symbaroum IP that's not RPG related, what would you do with it?
Oh yeah. As we say in Sweden, oi.
Oi, okay.
Oi. No, that's a tough one.
Okay.
It's designed to be a stage for interactive storytelling.
Right.
But as I've proven myself, it's possible to tell more linear kind of stories in it. I've been working for some years in the video games industry.
Right.
Developing lore and writing a little bit of story and script and so on. And maybe... But I mean, if that would happen, a really nice video game, Symbaroum RPG adventure, I would have to have final say
right
on everything, and I would need to write it all, and the game designers would have to dance to my pipe, or not mine, but the core teams.
Right.
So, but that would be kind of a dream come true, because I think there are a couple of really successful attempts at building interactive role-playing games adventures. There are tons of not so successful, but there are some really good, and with the added possibilities of new technology and new knowledge in how to design narrative story arcs for interactive stories, I think that would be super cool.
Sure, absolutely. So cool. Anyway,
it's so much fun.
Yeah. Everybody's, no matter what we bring up, there's always been comments of like, yes, give me that, yes, give me that, yes. So I think folks just want more Symbaroum in their lives and other ways to consume it. I think that's definitely been a point that's been proven here in this chat. So it's.
But
awesome.
now at least we've done something. They have the pre-order. It's out
That's
now.
right.
It's a whole new thing. Like we shouldn't be talking about the next.
No.
We have this awesome Haunted Waste pre-order that you can pre-order and get a lot of stuff and go to a very, very dark place.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the best sales pitch, but maybe.
Right, I was like, yes. Going to Mordor, I'm like, okay, maybe more neutral, a dark.
Yeah. There are no places like Mordor in the world of Symbaroum because there are no places of ultimate evil in Symbaroum, or maybe there are, but we haven't shown them to you yet. But that's kind of what Mordor would look like if it was in Symbaroum. But what I really hope for people, because one of the unique selling points besides what I myself, you mentioned it and I probably shouldn't, and it's all a question of taste, but to me Alberetor the Haunted Waste is, I have never felt this good about the product at this stage of the process. So that makes me feel super happy about releasing it. There is also quite a lot of material or guidelines and assets in this book that you can use to build your own adventures down in the south, below the Titans. And that was also super important, because if there's one thing that I can say that the merger with Free League has meant for Symbaroum, is that it has added that aspect to the adventure design, especially the Chronicle design. The option to hex crawl, more or less, not necessarily using a map and hexes, but randomly designing the elements of the story going forth. So there are quite a lot of stuff for that purpose as well in this book. It is not only like this linear story that goes from A to B. Then there is the Ambrian Civil War, and if I ran this with my group that I don't currently have, I would probably stay quite a while in Ambria, because the Civil War has just broken out. It's between two warring fractions that are in part it's about politics, in part it's about faith or religion, and there are quite a lot of interesting things to explore in this, again, war-torn nation or people. So we try to give at least some assistance for those game masters who want to explore that side of the story a little bit more in depth. What is it more I can say? Yeah, well, I don't know. It will be a hell of a ride.
Excellent. Yeah. So I will remind folks that if this is something that you would like to pre-order, make sure to go to HTTPS.
HTTPS.
Dang it. let me save it. There we go. Here we go. HTTPS. There we go. It only took us until the end of the session for me to get it up correctly.
Yeah, why not?
But if you enjoyed that, please hit the like button down below, because we're all about to being ridiculous.
This has been the story of the emerging IP address.
That's right. There's a whole lot to pre-order. There's the book, the adventure pack collection. There's the map pack, and you can get them all bundled all together at a discounted price, which is amazing. And you said that the PDFs should be here. The beta PDFs will probably be late May. Okay.
I can tell you this: if we fail to deliver a proper beta by the full thing from start to finish, I will make sure that we release an alpha with whatever we have. So it may be the 2 first sections of the book or whatnot. But again, the aim is that it will be a full beta by the end of May.
Excellent.
So, but you will get something by the end of May, or I'm eating this hat that I'm not wearing, but metaphorically.
Let's one more question before we hit. Trolls Are Hungry asks, what are the Templars doing in part 5?
I can't tell you, guys.
All right.
That would really spoil things for any players watching this.
Absolutely.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
No, but I can tell you that question will be answered relatively early in the book.
Okay.
So
awesome. Is there one other thing? Is there anything else you'd like to say to the folks that love this IP, Mattias, before we sign off? I mean, this is something that I know.
I don't know.
You have such a passion for this project and for this IP. I don't know if there's anything else you'd like to tell folks.
And for the community. I mean, I hope I have stressed it clearly enough how thankful we are, and how thankful Queen Corinthia and High Chef and Taraban. I mean, they wouldn't even exist today if it weren't for the backers. And I'm saying that without any form of irony. It's and the fact that my smile the past day is all about the fact that I couldn't be sure that they would find this project when it wasn't on Kickstarter. But you did. And again, we obviously always need your support. We're just not looking for it on Kickstarter this time. So super happy camper here.
Excellent. Well, Mattias, we're probably going to have you back on again soon, I think, to talk about more Symbaroum. So if folks are interested, I'm going to tell you to do a couple things. One, to hit that subscribe button down there, and that little bell notification that'll let you know every single time we go live or upload new content. And if you're a fan of Symbaroum, I know that there's going to be a lot of information coming up that you'll probably want to take in. And also, if you are a fan of all of Mattias's work and the team at the Free League, make sure to like this content down below and share it with the groups that you play with that also love this game, because we just want to more and more folks. We appreciate the community, but we always appreciate new people that find our games as well. So thank you so much. All right. All that stuff helps. Thank you so much. We appreciate you all for joining us. We will see you soon. Make sure to follow Free League Publishing on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter to stay updated with all the things we've got coming out. And we've got more coming out soon, so be on the lookout. All right. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, and bye.